Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras, and today is Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream. Yum, yum, yum.
Yum, yummity, yum. Yeah, it's like a dream. Because it's Taco Tuesday. We're here. We're having a good time. It's me. It's you. We're going to have a good time. Have a great conversation today as we talk about, we're going to lead off talking about the war ethos returning to the U.S. military. Unfortunately, Mike is not here with us today, and I really wanted to get it. Those of you who are watching live, just know that we're taking your comments. So if you have something you want to say, you want to share with us about, I don't know how you feel about the program, how you feel about, how you feel about the topics that we're talking about, whether you agree or you disagree with me, feel free to give us a holler because, we hear what you have to say. In fact, I would rather hear from you if you disagree, because disagreement is fun because it gives us an opportunity to mock you.
Oh, wow. Is that a mockingbird?
Man, is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
That's right. It gives us an opportunity to mock you and, broadcast it to a number of different places via audio podcast as well as through video podcast through Spotify. So if you want to watch it and you want to watch a cleaned up version, but you're not interested in interacting, that's the way you can partake. And that usually takes place about an hour after, so 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. respectively. All right, let's get into the program, and we're going to start off the way we usually do, and that is with a quick shout-out to our sponsors. We're going to start with Hitman Industries rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length. If you've purchased an AR in the last few years, chances are you already have one of their barrels. Why wouldn't you get another one? Because you know they work really, really well. Just go to hitmanindustries.net and order yours today. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly, the largest and fastest-growing grassroots Republican organization in the state of California. Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. Go to their website and find out why. Just go to cragop.org. That's cragop.org. If you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, because they're helping Americans wear guns. Just go to their website. Make sure you use the discount code The Rundown when you purchase your holster. That's right. Just like it is right up there. All one word, all caps, no spaces. You're going to get a nice little discount when you get your hog holster. And then finally, it's changing seasons, which means you're probably going to need to change your gear, probably need to update your gear. Well, guess what? The uscombatgear.com is the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. They have a huge selection of products. They have competitive prices. And oh, by the way, they specialize in group sales. They also have the best customer service available on the market. So you need to go check them out today. Once again, uscombatgear.com, where you can find all things tactical except the gun. All right. I was always raised and I was always taught when it came to the military, their job was to kill people and break things. That's what you use the military for. The military is not a place for cultural diversity. It's not a place for gender identity. It is a place where the job of our military is to defend us, to defend our freedom, to defend our way of life, to defend our very lives from enemies, in particular foreign enemies. So they need to be good at that. Right? I have to figure you want a warrior to defend you. So therefore, it's important to have what's called the warrior ethos. There's a reason why the president has changed the name from the Department of Defense to the Department of War, because he wants to understand this is what the role of our military is. And really, over the last few years, and when I say the last few, I mean the last number of years, dating all the way back to when Obama became president of the United States, our military has not been operating under the guise of the fact that they are here to kill people and break things. And as a result, we have seen military readiness severely hindered. And now, today, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, he called all of his leaders in, all of his military generals, and he called them all in because he wanted to their face, let them know that there is a changing of the guard and there's going to be a changing of expectations.
We cannot go another day without directly addressing the plank in our own eye, without addressing the problems in our own commands and in our own formations. This administration has done a great deal from day one to remove the social justice, politically correct, and toxic ideological garbage that had infected our department, to rip out the politics. No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that shit. Underneath the woke garbage is a deeper problem, and a more important problem that we are fixing and fixing fast. Common sense is back at the White House. So making the necessary changes is actually pretty straightforward. Think of it as the golden rule test. Jesus said, do unto others that which you would have done unto yourself. It's the ultimate simplifying test of truth. The new War Department golden rule is this: do unto your unit as you would have done unto your own child's unit. Would you want him serving with fat or unfit or undertrained troops? Or alongside people who can't meet basic standards? Or in a unit where standards were lowered so certain types of troops could make it in? In a unit where leaders were promoted for reasons other than merit, performance, and warfighting? The answer is not just no, it's hell no. This means at the War Department, first and foremost, we must restore a ruthless, dispassionate, and common sense application of standards. I don't want my son serving alongside troops who are out of shape, or in combat unit with females who can't meet the same combat arms physical standards as men, or troops who are not fully proficient on their assigned weapons, platform, or task, or under a leader who was the first, but not the best. Standards must be uniform, gender neutral, and high. If not, they're not standards. They're just suggestions.
Greetings.
How you doing, sir? I think you need to reset your microphone up. You sound like you're talking to us from a distance.
Okay, stand by.
All right. Well, just so y'all know, I just wanted y'all to see the Mike got here. But I wanted you to hear what the folks over at The View had to say about this presentation, shall we say? And I got to say, it's pretty much what you expect.
Really befuddled by why he did that. The optics were terrible, meaning all of our top military brass are all in one place, and we spent $6 million to get them there. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. It also didn't make a lot of sense to me that he was saying that he was going to toughen physical standards and review the anti-hazing policy by sort of implementing a hazing policy. And then also he said he was going to return to the highest male standard for combat positions because the troops were fat.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that was supposed to be an uplifting message for our military.
Maybe he's referring to Colonel Sanders.
It was really a bizarre thing. He started talking about woke DEI policies. By the way, there are no gender quotas in the military. By the way, he fired more than a dozen military leaders, many of them people of color and women. He fired the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, General Charles Brown Jr., who is African American.
Yeah.
He fired the first woman to command the Navy, Admiral General Lisa Franchetti. I don't understand the sort of hypocrisy of.
Okay, now, Mike, the funny part is she doesn't even realize that she was literally answering her own question as she was saying it.
Yeah, she. This is like watching, idiot TV. It's just ridiculous. Craig, you go out and you watch and you look at what the media is saying, and the media is saying he went in there and yelled at everybody for being fat, for being out of shape. That's not what I heard.
That's not what I heard at all.
Not what I heard. Not what I heard at all. He went in there and reiterated to leaders that this is the standard, and then gave them the tools to enforce that standard. That's
Right.
the key. That's the key. He didn't go in and go, listen, we want soldiers and we want to get recruiting numbers in, but you're still going to have to deal with the exceptions to the rule, the low standards, the waivers that we dealt with. No, here you go. If they don't meet the standard of the highest position of an infantryman, of an artilleryman, of an armor personnel, then they go. I don't care if they're sitting in the cow hall, counting spoons. They either meet the same standard or they don't.
Well, and I think what was interesting about it is that literally everybody that got removed, everybody that got fired, were all people who did not believe in that standard. And I'm sorry, but first of all, the president of the United States has a right to determine, what's the standard we're going to set for the military. And in this military, it's going to be your number one job is to kill people and break things. And we're going to set the highest standard for the people who are the best at doing those things. And we don't care if you're the first, if you're not the best, because we want the best. And I'm sorry, that there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, like they were arguing, they were saying, well, why would he bring them all together? They spent $6 million to get all those people there because he wanted them to know how important this was, that he wanted to look them in the eyes and he wanted them to look him in the eye so that he could say, look, this is a priority. It was also because this is now a message that's being sent to all those out there who had written off becoming a part of the military because they're like, the military's now too soft and it's too woke, and I don't want to risk my life for a military that hates America. Well, guess what? He made it real clear. The military is about defending America. It's about being American. It's about being a badass again. And it's okay to be a man in the military again.
Yeah. And listen, there's nothing unusual about this. This is a old-fashioned, they call it the commander's call. The echelon level above calls all the commanders below together, and they get together and they have one of these talks. They have some camaraderie. They sit down and they discuss intent. They discuss policies, and they say, here's how we're going to go about this. So we're in a closed room together. We're going to, not that it's secret, but they're in a room together, not on Teams or or Facebooking each other, or should be FaceTiming each other. They're actually in the room doing it. And then he brought his boss in, which is even better. I don't know if you saw some of the comments there. I sent you some shots later for the parting shots on some of the comments were for people that were in the room. So this was a great thing. I mean, listen, are there going to be people in the room that were I can't believe we had to spend money to get here? Get over it, dude. You know how much money you've wasted in the military? This is the most important thing you'll probably do, except for if you get called to serve in a combat zone. This is getting the warrior ethos. I don't know how else to say it. The warrior ethos, mindset equal across the room.
Well, and do me a favor, tell everybody, because I have a good idea what it is, but I'm not in the military, so I would do me a favor and let the audience know, when you say warrior ethos, what do you mean specifically?
What I mean, when I say warrior ethos,
yes,
it's the mindset of, well, it restates our mission statement: to close with and destroy the enemy by fire and maneuver. That's our job. To kill the bad guys. And the warrior ethos is make sure you're in the best trained, the best fit, and the best ready person to do that.
Exactly. And Mike, I didn't really want to wait until parting shots to share this one with the audience, so I went ahead and I pulled it up. Why don't you go ahead and read this? This is a tweet from Stuart Scheller. Go ahead and read it.
If you remember Stuart Scheller, he was the lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps that called out the Biden administration during the Afghan fiasco, and he was relieved and sent home at 17 years, I think they relieved him from the Marine Corps. President Reagan, wow. President Trump brought him back, but he says CGCS, that's Command Generals, Chief Staffs, that's all the generals in the room. Preparing the crowd prior to Sec War and POTUS speech at 0700 this morning. Sec War gave one of the best speeches I've seen from a military leader. I later laughed out loud when POTUS said he almost fired Sec War because he had to follow the speech. I was honored to be part of it. And then he says that he sat in this room 7 years prior when he was going through the Command and Staff College.
And once again, folks, look, these are the people who need to be inspired. These are the people who are on the ground, who are putting their lives in the hands of their commanders. And now these commanders now are given the opportunity, given the ability to make sure that those soldiers are the best prepared that they can be, so that they can not only defend our nation, but so that they can be there and defend one another.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And this is, again, I'm surprised it took 8 months to get this to happen, 9 months to get this to happen, whatever it is. But this has been going on, I guarantee you, from every level up, from all the way from the bottom.
Yeah.
The commanders have been meeting with their people and saying and giving this speech. And now the Secretary of War or the War Secretary has said, here we go. And there's no question here. Now think about where you are now, Craig. If regular job, a volunteer organization or in the military. From here on out, there is no excuse for I didn't understand that's how we were doing it. Oh, I didn't know that's what we were doing now.
Well, I think they started off by wanting to root out the people who clearly were going to be in opposition, and I think they wanted to remove a lot of them first because they wanted to have a command that was unified in that message. Now they know. Now it's like, okay, this is not just a thing. This is a thing, and this is now going to be the modus operandi, top to bottom, going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I bet you, listen, it's probably not over. I bet, there's probably a couple of eye rollers that were in the room that, will be identified at some point and have a they will have a conversation with them. We're going to have us a conversation.
Well, all you got to do is keep an eye on places like the Washington Post or the New York Times. And when you get the unnamed military source, you can pretty much bet that unnamed military source is going to be revealed and booted.
Yeah. And I also don't, trust them to believe that source is real, right? Because a lot of times, how do we stir hate and dissent? Let's make up an unnamed military source and put our own opinion in there.
Yeah, I do not doubt that happens. I don't think it happens sometimes as often as we think it does, but I think there are also though people who claim to be a source who really aren't in the room.
Right.
You know what I mean? There are definitely people who claim to be that they were in the room and they're used as sources when they weren't really someone in the room.
Yeah. I heard from so-and-so that they said this in there, so that's what I'm going to tell them. Yeah.
Right. And I have no doubt. I have absolutely no doubt that happens. Now that was the only thing to beat out our next story, because the next story is actually a pretty big one, at least for those of us here in the state of California, and that is that the U.S. Department of Justice is suing the sheriff of Los Angeles County over gun permit delays. Let me go ahead and pull up that article. This is an article over in Politico. Here we go. Okay. It says here the Department of Justice sued Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department in federal court Tuesday, alleging the department has violated California's Second Amendment rights. In the lawsuit filed in the Central District of California, the DOJ alleges LASD approved only 2 concealed carry permits out of more than 8,000 applications over the course of 15 months, with interviews scheduled as far as 2 years out for applicants. In the filing, the DOJ argued that LASD has, quote, has systematically denied thousands of law-abiding Californians their fundamental Second Amendment right to bear arms outside of the home, not through outright refusal, but through a deliberate pattern of unconscionable delay and renders this constitutional right meaningless in practice. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and Mayor Karen Bass's office did not immediately respond to the request for comment. In a press release, Attorney General Pam Bondi accused the county of engaging in, quote, egregious pattern and practice of delaying law-abiding citizens from exercising their right to bear arms. The lawsuit marks the latest volley in the Trump administration's assault on California and Los Angeles. The DOJ has sued the state over transgender athletics policies, egg prices, and state voter rules. And in June, it filed a lawsuit against Los Angeles city's sanctuary immigration policies. Now, Mike, I can tell you right now. First of all, I'll tell you, the sheriff. One of the things that the sheriff's office did, and what they're arguing with some of the delays, is they've said they're not going to process applications for people who are not, for whom they do not provide law enforcement. So in other words, if you live in a city that has its own police department, they're saying you got to go to your own police department and get it. And so many of these cities forever have not had CCW departments. They haven't had any way to issue them because they've sent them all to the county. Now, in the county, there are a little over, I think there's something like a little over 100 concealed carry permits in all of Los Angeles County. I think the second biggest county in the entire country. And all but 9 of those are to individuals who are either connected to or involved in the justice system, meaning they're judges or they are deputy DAs or DAs. But yeah, this is the thing. Their thing is like deny, don't actually do your job. And that's how we're going to now violate your rights. And so Trump is suing Los Angeles County.
Great. And listen, this is horse crap, right? That this is going on and happening. We know what the reason is. First off, this whole nonsense that the cities have to do it as well. Okay, no problem. Well, then your deputies no longer have authority in our cities. We'll just take care of that right now. If you can't enforce your law enforcement function here within the city, for people that live within the city, then you can't perform any of your law enforcement functions. That means I don't want you serving warrants in here. I don't want you coming in and picking up any kind of paperwork, any kind of writs or anything along those lines. Nothing at all. The sheriff's the chief law enforcement officer of the county. That includes all of the cities in between. Those police chiefs exist at the sheriff's consent. It really, what it comes down to, he is the chief law enforcement officer of the county. So if he can't carry out his duties in the entire county, now he's not the primary in some of those jurisdictions. Craig, we get that. But when the city says, "Hey, I need help with forensics," or "Hey, I need help with aviation," do you think Podunk PD's got a helicopter? No, they do a mutual aid request. So guess what? If you can't provide all your services, then you get to provide none of them. You don't get to pick and choose what you want. You're out. That's the first thing I would do. If they want to, if that's their stance, well, then that's their stance. I'm turning it back around. If you're going to send 500 people, 5,000 people in here to come to a place where they can't apply for it, then guess what? You're not getting anything else from us.
In a lot of cases, that's their way of, once again, not actually doing their job. But then in some of those cases, like one city is literally charging $1,000 for your concealed carry permit. And then also, and by the way, in California, you have to renew every other year. And they're requiring them to take a psychiatric test, like, to show that you are mentally all there. I'm like, well,
sure,
unless
you're leaving it up to the cities to decide, right? So
right.
Now, how many crazy cities do we see? Like, oh well, we're going to come up with you can't own guns that are black in color because they're bad, or we're going to have all these crazy rules. It's the city, those local elected city politicians that come up with that stupid stuff. Right. And the police chief, he doesn't get to say no. The mayor or the city manager says this is the rule. That's the rule.
Yep. Because in those cases, the police chief they're a government employee. They're not an elected official.
That's right.
Anyway, folks, this is it's good to see that this is happening because California, Los Angeles County is not the only place where stuff like this is happening. Where, I mean, we've talked with our folks or our friends out in New Jersey. How many times have we talked with them about not in their case, they're dealing with the same thing just in order to be able to buy a gun, let alone to be able to carry a gun.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, and I hope that, like I said, the DOJ follows through, and they follow through in that follow through in that true Trump method. Hey, while we're suing you because you're not doing what you're supposed to do, we're not sending you any more federal grant money. We're not sending you any more federal tax. We're not because here's what we're going to do. We're going to put it over here in a special fund, and if you ever get your crap together, then we'll release it.
Mm-hmm.
So until
By the way, just kind of changing subjects from that. You were talking about the Trump way. Did you notice that? YouTube is settled with Trump, and they're going to pay him. They're going to pay him $24.8 million for canceling his YouTube account.
Yeah, how much you think they're going to give us for canceling ours?
I don't know. They said they were bringing back anyone who got banned because of COVID disinformation. So I'm still waiting for our channel to come back.
So that's pretty much us. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. COVID with the K is fake.
I tried to say we were talking about COVID with the K, to be clear. Well, that's the one we were talking about. We were talking about that one.
They wanted us out, man. They just had it in for us, dude.
Yep.
I get it. It's because you're black. That's why.
I know. I wear my black shirt today for you.
For me. Yep. Just so you know, your black shirt next to those pale underarms. Ugh. Yes. Or maybe it's the lighting. It's the lighting. It's the lighting.
The lights are way out here. Look, watch how much more white I get.
Oh, there you go. So in other words, what you're saying is you have colored lights right in front of you.
Well, listen, when I leaned that far out, I started to like classical music. That's how white I got.
Fun stuff. Well, hey, good to see the DOJ doing their thing, fighting the good fight for the people of California. And like I said, the good part about California being so whacked out is it gives the federal government a legal standard to go after, so that once it's been ruled in the courts that they don't get the chance to do this stuff, they don't get the chance to do this stuff anywhere else. So
yeah,
it pays to have a crazy member of the family.
There you go.
At least that's what I keep telling myself anyway. There's got to be reason behind all this stuff. Oh, well, as you may or may not be aware, we are just hours away from a government shutdown. It is going to be happening at midnight or 9 o'clock our time, so a little under 6 hours, right around 6 hours, or a little over 6 hours. The federal government will be shutting down if they are not able to come to a deal. Now, the funny part is that Democrats are trying to blame Republicans. Because their attitude is, well, Republicans, they're in control of everything. And here's Gavin Newsom trolling the federal government. This is from the office of the governor. This is from the California state website. Trump to Americans, go F yourself. And it does not say F. Shuts down Republican-controlled government, increasing monthly healthcare costs by hundreds of dollars. Now, what's funny about this is it speaks to what the problem is or what the disagreement is. And the disagreement is over a few things. Number one, Republicans want a clean CR, meaning they just want to keep spending money at the same level that we are right now, and they just want the continuing resolution to go through November 21st. That's it. They don't want any policy added to it. They don't want any addendums. They just say, look, this is what we're spending. We're going to keep spending going forward. The only thing additional that's included is some additional money for security for members of Congress in the wake of what happened with Charlie Kirk. They just want to make sure that members have the resources they need to not get assassinated. Is basically what they're saying. Anyway, but other than that, it's all completely the same. Now, Democrats are the ones who are asking to change spending. They're the ones who are saying, well, we want you to extend the Obamacare subsidies, which is no, because we're not spending on it. So they want you to put those subsidies back in place. And we want you to increase spending in this area, this area, and this area when it comes to Medicaid and Medicare. And they're like, no, we're not changing any spending. Now, a bill already exists, is already there, already ready to be voted on, all that. And then once again, changes nothing. It's the Democrats who are the ones who are about to who want to shut down the government. And you know, thing, Mike, the frustrating thing about it is that the polls that they've done are saying that 37% of the electorate believe that it's the Republicans' fault if the government shuts down. 27% believe it's the Democrats, and 31% believe it is both. But clearly, by any objective standards, it's the Democrats who are threatening a shutdown. I don't understand how they get away with it.
Well, because the media is saying that it's the opposite, right? You know, that's what the Democrats are putting out. That's what the media is echoing for them, and so that's what the uneducated, you know, those that sit with their head in the sand all the time are believing. Yeah, that's how they continue to get votes for the stupidest stuff in the world. You know, how did that idiot get elected? Oh, because somebody saw there was a D next to their name, and their parents had a D next to their name, so they voted for it.
Yeah, that seems to be how it works. Unfortunately, you know, and there's a reason why the media has approval ratings as low as Congress.
Yeah, exactly right. And listen, and it's gonna continue until those individuals feel some pain. And I'm not talking about violence pain. It's the same reason, you know, some people buy guns. Craig, why'd you buy a gun? Well, people in my neighborhood got robbed and mugged, or I got robbed or mugged. So once I felt the pain, then I did something about it and changed my ways. And as long as they live in these little enclaves where the upper class or the upper middle class gets taken care of, you know, because you know, they're not the poor. Leave the poor people, you know.
Poor people.
They're not going to change their mind.
The poor people.
Yeah, that's it. The poor. These are my people. They love me.
Father, tell me about when you were poor, Father. Did you eat at the McDonald's? Did you get the value meal?
Yeah, we had waffle soup for dinner.
Okay, this is a story Mike shared with me. Now, this is interesting. So, you've got Senate Democrats who are trying to end reimbursements to January 6th defendants. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why are we giving reimbursements to January 6th defendants? Well, I'm glad you asked that question because you might recall they have been pardoned. Let's read a little bit of the story that's over here at CBS News. It says here, Senate Democrats press DOJ to end taxpayer reimbursement of January 6th. They call them rioters. And I'm not saying none of them were rioters, but some of them were just touring the Capitol. A group of Democratic senators is asking the Justice Department to help prevent convicted U.S. Capitol rioters from being reimbursed by taxpayers for court-ordered fines. Federal judges ordered hundreds of rioters to pay restitution to offset an estimated $3 million in damages and cleanup costs, from the 2021 attack. Only 15% of the costs had been reimbursed by January 6 defendants as of summer 2024, according to a review by CBS News. But hours after returning to office, President Trump pardoned everybody convicted as a part of the riot. In a letter dated Monday and obtained by CBS News, the top Democrats on the Senate Rules and Senate Judiciary Committees asked the Justice Department to oppose efforts to seek repayments by those convicted of January 6, 2021 riots. Quote, these criminals are apparently demanding taxpayer compensation, not only to refund court-ordered restitution to cover damages they caused to the Capitol building, but also to compensate them for having to face legal consequences for their actions, the letter reads. A CBS News review of court filings by some of the more than 1,500 pardoned Capitol riot defendants shows a growing number of formal requests to have the federal courts order reimbursements. I don't know what you sent the story over. So what are your thoughts on this one, Mike?
You know, first off, Craig, the way the story reads is as if everybody agrees that that these people that were convicted of the crime have to pay. I mean, they were convicted; they have to pay.
Right.
Completely ignoring the last, couple years of the sham trials of the January 6th, as you and I call them. You know, the reality TV show January 6th riots.
Right.
Completely wrong. This week alone, well, within the last week, the FBI released that there were 274 agents in the crowd there, Craig. Not, people that were, working with or, CIs, confidential informants or anything like that. Actually, 274 agents in the crowd. And they've pledged to identify who they were to find out what they were doing during that. Were they instigating? Were they there not controlling the violence that was allegedly going on? So they're pardoned. Let's get back to the main issue, Craig. They're pardoned. The government and the president has said they were not guilty. It's gone away. Charges removed, convictions removed. Well, if your charges removed and your convictions removed, the penalties that were in there are also removed. How can they turn around and say, oh, the president pardoned them, but we still want this one part of the penalty to be in effect?
Kind of weird. Kind of weird if you ask me.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get away with that, but they seem to think it's okay.
Well,
by the way, in the meantime,
in the news, got to keep January 6th in the news, right?
In the meantime, none of these sorts of penalties have been put in place for any of the George Floyd rioters.
Nope.
Yeah. Nope. And a lot of these people, by the way, agreed to this restitution because it was part of a plea bargain. Well, they pled out because they were told that, well, we're going to put the full weight and power of the federal government, and we're going to put you in jail forever as a result of your being at the Capitol on January 6th. Or you can pay this fine, you can plead guilty, and then we'll let you out with time served.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, here's some probation, pay the fine, or you might face 10 years,
Right. Because that's how they do stuff. I hate to say this, but that is a common tactic. Is they overcharge, and they overcharge because then they know that they can then convince you to be willing to accept a plea deal.
Yeah, and I'd probably do the same thing you would, Craig. I would fight as long as I could, as long as I'm not in jail and able to support my family. Until you say you're taking that away, might be time to make a deal, especially when the guy who's coming to office in a couple of years is going to pardon me.
Right. Exactly. All right, folks. So that now brings us around to Parting Shots. Parting Shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. You can get your hog holster today. So I'm going to be honest with you. These first two here are a little risque. But they're funny nonetheless. So I thought that I would share them with you. And this first one here just really kind of talks about, it kind of lets you go behind the scenes to see how Democrats or people on the left handle the idea that, they have a hard time believing that it is their rhetoric that may have played a role in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Check it out.
Could calling Republicans fascists for years lead to the assassination of Charlie Kirk? We don't even know what a fascist is.
It's so unfair we're getting blamed for all this political violence. If anything, the Republicans are the violent ones. Just look at all these photos of them rioting over the death of Charlie.
Sorry to interrupt, guys, but I have more information about the assassin.
Let me guess. It was a Republican shooting off his gun in celebration.
Well, not exactly. It was a 22-year-old named Tyler Robinson. His family and friends describe him as a left-wing extremist. He was dating a trans woman, and he had a kink for furries.
Oh, what a relief. So he is a Republican.
Well, it sounds like one to me, but we have to be certain. Let's see. Everyone knows it's impossible for a Republican to be gay. So I think the best way to know for sure if he was a Republican is to determine if it's gay to date a trans woman.
Well, I don't think it is, Chris. Making love to a trans woman requires a man's pee-pee and a woman's pee-pee.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, I know for a fact it's not gay, because every woman I've ever slept with has balls.
It sounds like Tyler Robinson is a Republican after all. Unfortunately,
I know, that was over the top, but it was funny nonetheless.
Yeah, just what's up next, Craig?
Well, we went from illegal aliens to referring to them as migrants to undocumented to referring to them as migrants. Well, in this guerrilla video, once again, slightly risque, but those of you who are listening probably won't get it. You'll probably want to put the acronym together, but this one is funny nonetheless.
It's no longer acceptable to call people illegal immigrants. They should now be addressed as travelers without authority to stay, for short.
Yep. Yep.
Just remember, travelers without authority to stay.
You know, we had, God, it's been years ago, Craig. We had the World Cup soccer came to Central Florida, and they wanted to get rid of all the homeless people downtown. And the feds were here watching as well, right? And this would have been 92 time frame, somewhere around there, 90 to 92. And we got told couldn't call them homeless people anymore because homeless was a derogatory term. So the word we came up with was outdoorsman.
Outdoorsman.
Outdoorsman. Yeah. I'll be out with a family of outdoorsmen, or I'll be out with two outdoorsmen and such and such. So.
So this last one here, and this is, we've probably seen Bill Maher give a rant like this before, but I think it really kind of surmises why the left is losing their grip on America.
Couldn't get Neil deGrasse Tyson, a genius scientist and preeminent scientific voice in the media, to agree that it was ridiculous for Scientific American and The Atlantic to be claiming that separating sports by sex doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. Actually, it makes perfect sense. And it's obvious that it does. And there's a lot of stuff like that on the left. And when conservatives see it, they say, I'm sorry, we're just not going to go along with reinventing society, often pointlessly, even if we have to cancel democracy to do it. That's what they're saying. They see gender as only a construct and sex as assigned at birth, and they say, we're not doing that. Transing kids by self-diagnosis with no age limit, no parental notification, and no acknowledgement of social contagion, not doing it. Asylum now covers any reason for anyone to come to America, not doing it. Homelessness is a lifestyle. Natural immunity doesn't count anymore. Whiteness is toxic. Penises in women's prisons. Welcoming the Intifada. We're not doing it. If we are ever going to get back to the old America, that's got to be the Democrats' part of the bargain. Stop coming up with radically new and often terrible ideas, and then in the next breath, insist there be no debate about any of it. That if you don't see it right away and go along, you're bad, stupid, and deplorable. As if you were saying, duh. 2 + 2 = 5. Isn't that obvious? Yeah, it's obvious you can't add.
I don't know that he could have made any more sense than that.
Yeah, little known tie-in fact, Craig. This is why some people consider LeBron James the GOAT, because he also has the leading scorer over trans and women.
All right, well, there you go. Is that what he's going to do when he retires? When he turns like 60, he's going to leave the NBA and he's going to go over and play in the WNBA.
Yeah, and they're not going to be as easy on him. Those girls are rough.
I think his son, Bronny's going to beat him over there though, because he's clearly not going to make it in the NBA.
But he got recruited.
Gee, yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll bet you if it meant keeping LeBron, they would have signed LeBron's dad.
Yeah,
they would have signed his mom.
His dog.
Yeah, send him to the G League. He'll be all right.
Yep.
All right, folks. Well, that brings us to the end of the program. But before we go, we got one last thing we're going to do, and that is a quick shout out to our sponsors.
Yep, hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. Check out our friends over there. They got AR barrels, any caliber, rifle caliber, pistol caliber, any length you desire, plus a whole assortment of other barrels. Check out their website, hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. If you want the best in tactical concealed, if you want the best field gear, web gear, tactical gear, law enforcement, fire, security, EMS, whatever it may be, get on over to get your group or agency. Get on over to uscombatgear.com where you get everything except the gun.
That's right, folks. Once again, please take a moment, visit our sponsors. All you have to do is follow the links in the description to this program. Go there, check them out, spend some money with them. Make sure you tell them those the guys over at the Rundown that sent you. And we will be back tomorrow on a hump day. Till then, y'all have fun, stay safe, and as usual, we will see you mañana.